Welcome back to another episode of the Breadwinner Energy Podcast. Today I have Amber with us, and I was just on her podcast, so I was sharing all of her goodness, and I've had so many of you reach out, tell me you love her energy, you love everything about her, and she is the most perfect person to have on this podcast because she embodies breadwinner energy to a level that I am obsessed with, and I am sharing all of her magic here on my podcast today. So, Amber, welcome in.
Thank you so much for having me, Tay. And I'm blushing now.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm so glad you're here. I think this is going to be a conversation that's going to open a new level for my audience specifically. Maybe deepen into what I talk about. And I'm really excited to have your edge, your juice on this conversation. And also, you're not only the first guest of 2026, but I can't even remember the last time I had a guest on the show. It's been so long. But our relationship, I just like when I first saw you, I was like, oh my God, I love her. She's so cool. And I came on your podcast, and then since then, I'm just like, yes, you just embody this energy about you that's so juicy. That's the word I have today. And I want to share that magic with other women. So I would love it if you could tell everyone in your words who you are, what you do, what's your magic.
Well, I'll try because, first of all, something I've been leaning into is the fact that I am aligned to in human design. And so sometimes people can see me a certain way, and I can't see that genius as much, but I've been trying to really feathers. Okay, that's the sign we're on. The sign we're on the right track because when feathers start descending, and I have no birds, by the way, feathers just happen in my house from all the like luxurious things I have around. Um, my name is Amber Renee, and I have been in business for almost 12 years now. And I have entered a season in last year where my focus is probably primarily women who relate to you, where you're powerful, you are seasoned in life and business, you've probably had some shit in your life. And obviously, my background is as a sex coach, which I've been doing since 2015. So I work with women leaders. Like, I feel like the place that just is like so delicious for me to sink into is helping women use the erotic energy, the energy of Eros to shape culture, to move their own movements forward, to lean into their own edges, and to actually take what you think is dangerous or bad or wrong or unprofessional about you, the taboo, provocative things, and you actually lead from that. And so a lot of what I do is around money, sex, power, freedom, and working with leaders. And then we kind of bring that into our movements into the collective, into the world, which obviously is so fucking needed right now.
Yeah, you could say that times 1,000. I love it. I'm obsessed. I think that you do a really great job of embodying what it is that you coach from not only like the visuals of your brand, but like you can tell through the way that you carry your brand and create content that this is something that you've embodied, right? And it's alluring. And that's what I think is that edge that makes women walk into be like, holy shit, this is scary, this is crazy raw, but also like give me more. I love that about you. So you said that you used to be a sex coach and you've pivoted that, like leaned into that more into like this leadership from that edge. What got you into being a sex coach to begin with?
Oh goodness. Well, first of all, to preface, like I have been connected to this primal erotic energy, obviously did not have language for it from around age 2. And I know that because there's just certain things that happened around age 3 that I had developed this addiction to, I knew how to give myself an orgasm at such a young age, and I became addicted to it to the point where I would fake being sick at school to go home and like make my Barbies have sex and like self-pleasure. Like, obviously, wasn't calling it at that. It wasn't how it is now
Yeah.
as an adult, being able to bring myself pleasure, but just like, rubbing myself against stuff, which after working with thousands of women, I know I'm not alone in this, and it created so much shame for me. And I felt like I was just carrying for most of my life this dark, dirty, shameful secret. And it became something that kind of ruled my life for a lot of my life. I was 24 when I started going down this journey of like connecting to pleasure, connecting to sensuality. And when I was in my early 20s, I developed bladder incontinence, pelvic pain, vaginal tension. This is before I had my daughter. So it was like out of nowhere, this happened. And I believe that it came from obviously living in survival mode, like your body's clenched, but carrying the shame, like trying to hold in everything that we try to hold in as women, our darkness, our emotions, our rage, our grief, the shadows, like trying to hold it all together and in basically resulted in my pelvic floor being clenched 24/7 for pretty much my entire life. And all the orgasms I'd been having, like in secrecy and, going through this journey of like oscillating between being deeply repressed and ashamed of my sexuality, but still like masturbating in secret every night, or, even when I had partners going into the bathroom and finishing myself off, to the other side of the spectrum where I was like overtly expressed in a more maybe manipulative side of my sexuality.
Yeah.
So kind of like ping-ponging back and forth. And then when I was engaged in my early 20s, that's when the bladder incontinence happened. And he ended up cheating on me, kicking me out, like getting several women pregnant in a row. And I was like so thankful that I was not one of those women who got pregnant. And I kind of bounced from doctor to doctor, being like, I'm 23, 24. I don't want to live with incontinence. My mom had been struggling with incontinence since she gave birth to my sister and me.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want that to be me. Like, I haven't even had kids yet? And so after going from doctor to doctor, they were basically like, you have interstitial cystitis. Here's this $180 fancy UTI pill we want you to take for the rest of your life, not to cure it, but to just help with the pain. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. Like, fuck that. No, I'm done. I'm not doing that. I'm gonna take my sexuality into my own hands. And a lot of things had been aligning at the time where I just got introduced to this practice called the Jade Egg. And so I went on this whole like 9, 10 month celibacy journey. I moved into this little cottage where I did a lot of sexual healing and sensuality. And within probably 2 to 3 months, my symptoms were gone and I never looked back. I started sharing my journey because I was like, whoa, I'm having orgasms I never knew existed. Like I was able to have one kind of orgasm, which was that very tense clitoral external, like, I had it down to a science, maybe a certain kind of porn, a certain kind of vibrator, the right spot, the right friction, speed, pressure, and I could get it done sometimes in like 10 seconds. Like I had it down to a science by that time. And it left me also feeling like very unfulfilled and very ashamed. So I was having like all these experiences, like third eye orgasms, cervical orgasms, like my whole body had completely changed. My energy had changed, and people were like, there's something different about you, but we can't quite put our finger on it. And so it was like, this secrecy shifted from like, I'm ashamed to like, oh, this is something that is inside of every woman. And now I want to share about it. So I started a YouTube channel. I pivoted my business, which originally was for health coaching, into sensuality. And I kind of just kept getting like more brave and more edgy of like, oh, I'm just going to talk about like the divine feminine or, embodiment. And then it went into, some of these other places that I've also had to now decondition from, like sexual polarity, Tantra, Taoism, the fucking things that can lead into a lot of things right now that keep women submissive. But that's really where it started for me.
This is wild because I don't know if you know this. I haven't told you directly, but when I was 24, 25, I started developing these mystery UTIs. And I went years having this chronic UTI that's not really a UTI, but nobody knows what it is. And I went to every single doctor imaginable, finally was told tight pelvic floor, IC, trauma response, all these things, right? And they put me also on a long-term years and years antibiotic for UTIs that I did not have, and I could not find answers anywhere. And I think this is wild because there is a direct connection to shame.
Hmm.
Shame, sexual shame. I was sexually abused as a child, and that is insane that someone else has experienced that because I've met almost nobody else that's had this experience. So that first of all, that's just crazy. Like my mind is blown, my jaw's on the floor. If you're not if
Yeah.
we don't have this on video, like that is crazy because there is 1000% some kind of like emotional connection, right? There's some other connection that's not physical. Um, that's just wild and has like my mind, I'm trying to like get myself together here because I'm
Take a
like,
moment, take a breath, because that I'm sure you're
right.
not the only one, like
Yeah.
I'm used to it at this point because I've helped so many women with the same experience. But at the time, like making those connections, it's like shame really has such physiological and shame and trauma
Mhm.
around sexuality, around, everything like related to our bodies, to our sexuality. Like it's deep. And this is why the whole connection between our body and the unconscious and the erotic and shame, it's really deep work that we have to do.
Yeah, I totally agree, which is also crazy because Saturn leaves Pisces tomorrow and goes into Aries. And Saturn has been in Pisces in my sixth house of health for years. And on the
Mm.
last day before it moves into my seventh house of partnerships and relationships, we're having this conversation that has like just brought me full circle.
I love that for us.
Crazy, right? Crazy. So, okay, let's talk about this. So, a lot of women have sexual shame, some way, some form, right? And because of that, what I've seen, and maybe you've seen the same, is women either go to full suppression or fully unleash, and sometimes what the unleashed is performative, and it's not from a place of embodiment. And I want you to talk about that. I know that like performative versus embodied leadership is something you really talk about, but I really want you to touch on whatever comes up for you around the really suppressed or the really unleashed, the performative versus the embodied, and how do women like know what that is and how to really come into embodiment.
Yeah, well, for me, I feel like learning the difference between those in the bedroom and like in my own pleasure practice really showed me how that can apply to like leadership and business because performative sexuality, and like in my world, we embrace all aspects. We're never here to shame a woman for like being performative or whatever, but like
Yeah.
you're going to feel it in your body because it's not going to feel so good. And it's going to create a ripple effect of impact and results and experiences of how people relate to you, how people see you, and most importantly, how you feel. So, when I feel like I was maybe in more of a performative, sexuality, for example, it's like my energy is going outward. I'm focusing more on how that person is perceiving me, what they think about me. Are they judging me? Are they shaming me? Are they turned on? Are they turned off? Do they like this or not? So everything is going outward and you're more focused like it's you're in the mind, right? You're like you're in your head, you're spinning in your wheels like what is this other person perceiving me as right now, and then it's creating an experience for you where you're not actually enjoying yourself, you're not actually living, you're not following your own energy. And so you know we can play with performance in all ways. In my world we love to do that, but it's like can we own it from a place of like, oh, the performative, but still being in my body, right? Like I'm doing it for myself. So it applies to leadership as well, where it's like, I can notice right now, like, oh, there's some stuff happening with my voice. Like, I feel like a lot of tears are coming in, which for me means that we're talking about really truthful, impactful things. I can feel my body like wanting to like go out and be like, you have to say the right thing. Like, this is just stuff that happens for us as women. Our voice has been suppressed. We haven't been allowed to speak. There's so much trauma and shame and ways in which the patriarchy has tried to silence and bury and keep us submissive essentially. And so when I'm leading, like it could be the way that I'm speaking, it could be what decisions am I making, this content that I'm writing. If I am outwardly projecting that, I'm going to feel that because I'm more up in my head. Whereas if I can, like, when I'm in my own sensuality, my sexuality, it's almost like it's a downward dissension. It's like you go down and in, and you're feeling things through a five senses experience, but you also notice what's happening with your body sensations, with your energy, with your emotions. And it's not like up and out, it's down and in. So whether it's in sexuality or it's in leadership, the energy that you're centered in is your own. You're moving from that, you're letting it guide you versus your mind and your trauma and your fear and your beliefs that you're too much or that you're not enough or that you're, not sexy enough or you're not powerful enough or what is this person going to think of you? So I think that's the easiest way for me to understand when I'm swinging into like performative versus being embodied is like am I actually in my own body? Can I feel my senses right now? Or is my energy going in and moving throughout me and then guiding me? Or am I just like out worrying about whoever's receiving me right now?
Yeah, that's funny that popped up. I was like, oh, that's giving you confirmation. Yes, this is correct. I love that you're talking about this because I help women right with shadows. I help women with conditioning. And there's a really close tie of something that I had to break up with, which is codependency, which is abandonment and self-abandonment for men, right? So then what happens is we go to this place of performative and we're attracting men or relationships with lust, right? And so what do? You call in a man that's lustful. You don't call in embodied partnership. You don't call in safety. You don't call in a loving connection. You call in someone who lusted after you because you called them in with lust because you're like, do you like this? I'm wearing this for you. I'm doing this for you. Is it enough? Right? And so, what I notice with women is when they're in this place, you've really given away your power, whether it's to men, to the patriarchy, society, whatever, through your conditioning. And a lot of women don't know this. And then in business, this translates to this place of like, performative content, right? Like, what is the right thing to say? How do I make a sale? No one's listening, no one's buying. Versus like when you just said, like, I made this shift and people were like, what's different about you? And I did this too. And people are like, you're so magnetic. Like, I'm so drawn to you. You're like, right? And I actually, when I call it I came out of the closet and I stopped trying to be this perfect buttoned up pretty coach with the pink whatever. And I was like, actually, that's not at all who I am. I'm like very spicy and bold and like this is how I dress. And it is more provocative. I had someone in my audience who was like, oh, you're male centered. And I was like, that's so interesting that that's where your mind goes because people who know me, right? And then also myself, like that could be furthest from the truth. I'm like very much comfortable in who I am finally. And that is the switch that really helps you call in the desires, whether it's through partnership that you want, whether it's the relationships, the friendships, but also like the money. Like the money comes to you, right? And I know that's something you talk about. Eros money power is like really leading from that edge, right? So yeah, I think this is such a good conversation. I talk a lot about creating a movement, right? I talk a lot about women having money, and so do you. But yours is called a provocative movement, and I'm obsessed with what this is. Can you tell everyone what is a provocative movement? How did you come up with it? How do you help women embody this movement?
Yeah, well, the definition I guess that wants to come through today because there's always a different definition whenever someone is like, describe this or, what does this mean? And it's like, well, what wants to move through me today is simply that, to provoke means to evoke a response out of someone that for me creates desire. And I think that what you were saying a moment ago of like, people responding to you, and it's like there's a level of having to get comfortable with people perceiving you, regardless of how they perceive you. And so for me, leading a provocative movement, specifically in the way that I work with women is like, I'm not here to work with because like you, I'm not the pink bows, like beige Chanel girl. Like I'm wearing a red snake bodysuit. I have snake earrings. I have red nails. I am the red and the black with the accents of gold. Like we're going into the shadows. We're going into the sexiness. Like my branding is very deep and dark and taboo because that is my journey. And so the women that I work with, I work with a lot of sex workers. I work with women who are dominatrixes, and not all of my clients are that. I get a lot of people just because of the work that I did with sexuality, feel comfortable coming to me around their work with sexuality. But I feel like I'm here for the women, like you, for example, and I'm sure many women in your community where it's like you have a spicier take. You have a more provocative edge that you're leading from. You're not just here to say the same shit that everybody else is saying. You have like a darker, deeper, edgier, whatever that means for you, right? It's like I'm not the cute little champagne. I'm like the spicy red wine, or something like that. Like I always say, like, I'm not everyone's cup of tea or glass of Pinot Noir. Like I am, I'm something that maybe you need a chaser to take down sometimes. Like,
Same.
or you're like indulgently drinking it while listening to sensual music with, I'm here for women who have a mission and a movement that is on the fringe. It's outside of what is good girl respectability of what you might expect of a woman. So you're leaning into like not only your own edges of like, I'm here with a provocative message that 99% people probably not going to like or resonate with, but my 1%, which can have thousands or millions of people in it, right? But I feel like there's a rare quality to the type of women that I want to work with, where it's like, if you haven't walked the deeper, darker, shadowy edges, if you're not willing to say the fucking thing that's on your heart that makes your pussy pulse, then like you're probably not the right client for me. Like, we're going to use those words. So for me, a provocative movement is like, you're not just here to sell like mindset or identity. Like you are really going there into the deepest, darkest places within yourself. And your movement stands for something that your average person probably isn't going to relate to. And it's probably going to be very triggering. And yeah, like there are going to be people who perceive you a certain way, but it's also led from desire. It's led from Eros. So this like turned on energy, but this energy that can rebirth the world around you. And for me, it's just like, we're really going there. Whatever your there is, that's the provocative thing, right?
Yeah. This is such a good conversation because I already know, I can already hear it because of my own clients are going to have always said to me, like, Tay, I'm not as bold as you. I'm not as spicy as you. I had a client that was like, well, productivity isn't sexy. Make it sexy. Like, what is your edge? What is like, you don't have to, it doesn't have to be my edge, right? It doesn't have to be Amber's edge. It doesn't even have to be what you're quote unquote thinking of as edge or sexy. It's how do you lean in to the unpopular truth of what you believe about your work? How do you lean into the edges of your work that make it different, that make it unique, right? And I think that the women in my space specifically need to hear this because Amber and I have been around a long time. Like we've been in this world for so long. We've seen the online space, we've seen the content, right? There's like, I don't know about you, but I have really tried to curate my feed to be like, this cannot be so fucking boring. Like everyone is saying
Oh
the
my
same
God.
thing.
I say that every single day. I'm like, I feel like such a bitch, but I'm so bored by 99% of people that I see on social media. Like, can we please? And I hope that whatever's going on in the stars right now is like unleashing a wave of women who are willing to be like red hot revolutionary and really just say the thing, be the
Yes.
thing, like because it's inside of you. And like no, you don't have to use black and red in your branding like Tay and I do. Like you don't
Yeah.
have to say it, and it's not even about sex because people get that misconception of like, oh, that must mean that
Yeah.
every single one of your clients is like a sex coach or a dominatrix or a sex worker or does some kind of like spicy work. And it's like, no, this work can be personal and private for you, but it's going to unleash your most provocative message, the words that you need to say. It also is going to inform your boundaries. Like, we need those cutthroat boundaries. We need you to raise your standards to penthouse sweet heights. Like, it's really not about, and people might be surprised to know this about me, but it's like, if you met me in person, pretty shy and reserved. Like I'm a hermit. That's part of my human design. Like I
Me
will come behind
too.
red velvet curtains and be like, "Don't talk to me." Like
What
I'm
are you?
not kidding. What?
Are you a 6'2"?
I'm a 2/4.
I'm a 6'2". I'm a hermit role model.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think about sometimes getting a welcome mat that's like, why are you here? Because I'm just like, I can't be bothered. So I think people assume like, and I've done a lot of wild shit on the internet in my 12 years. I've had orgasms on podcasts and like I've written about that. And that definitely came from a more performative appeasing fawning thing. Like I've
Yeah.
said things, I've done things. I mean, we're in a more curated era for myself as well, but I used to post basically naked selfies of myself all over the internet, like but it's not about that. Like you don't have to be, your flavor doesn't have to be like sexy or this or that. Like it's an energy inside of you. It's being willing to say the thing you want to say, to set the boundaries, to embody the qualities that are asking to be integrated and for you to lead from, and to let your mission be like true representation of what you actually stand for, to stop biting your tongue, to stop holding back, to stop filtering and watering it down, to stop making it like the amount of caveats I used to add to all of my posts because I was afraid of getting canceled or afraid of being misunderstood. And now I'm like, I don't care. Like, you cancel me, whatever. Like,
Hmm.
you can't cancel me. I'm never gonna fucking stop talking about what I stand for.
Yes, I'm like loving this so much. I really want women to like soak this episode in. I think if you're listening, you might have to listen a few times. I call this the fire breathing dragon, the baby dragon. I've gone through this. I've seen so many women go through this. It started for me with divorce. And when I was in the marriage, I let him walk all over me. I never stood up for myself. I never like openly expressed. And when I left that marriage, I was a fire breathing dragon. I just like spewed all, like, I was like very harsh. Like I went to the other end of the spectrum and then I dialed in, right? And same with my business. I was like cute and put together and buttoned up and like the perfect little business coach. And then I like came out like swinging right on the other end of the spectrum. And then I had to dial it in. And I think for the women listening is you have to be the fire breathing dragon because if you don't ever go to that opposite end, you don't know what that edge is. It's impossible to dial in, right? So, right, you were saying like I went to this other end of the spectrum and I really dialed it in. And I think for women listening, like allow yourself to go there, allow yourself to go as far as you can take it. And then you'll have this range of like, how and where do I dial it in, right? Whether it's your business or the messaging or whatever it is. But I love that you said this isn't sexual. This isn't just sex work, right? It is so different than that. And I have this visual. I've had this visual for a really long time. It's called Walk 'em Like a Dog. And it's like walking a man on a leash. Like that is my inner energy. Like my clients are like, you're Tay, you're like a total dom. But no one knew that of me before because I like really kept that in. But there's a lot of women I think that are waking up to this, like, oh wow, I'm allowed to do that. I'm allowed to say that. I'm allowed to be that, to like really unleash this pussy power. And I want the women here listening to try to relate to some way. If you have ever been in a relationship dynamic and then you switch the dynamic, right? You're the one that was chasing, oh my God, do you love me? You're pleasing him. It's do you need something to drink? Do you need something to eat? Like you're the one walking like a dog. And then
Mhm.
finally he does something that makes you be like, whoa, why am I doing that for a whole grown ass man? That is so embarrassing. And you like flip it around and you're like, no, like he can walk like a dog. Like he can chase me. That's the energy to bring to your business. Instead of going out and like, can I get on all the places? Can I be in all the places? Can I post all the content? Can I do all the things? No. Like really leaning into, well, are they good enough to be in this space for me? Are they matching the energy that I want to hold in this space? Is this something that I love? Right. And that goes back to the beginning of the conversation where it's, are you being outwardly performative so that everyone likes you and accepts you? Or is this something that you're like, this is what I want and desire? That's when you become magnetic. That's when you make so much money, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I love this conversation so much because I think that women really, really need to and will and are really leaning into this new way of being able to lead as a woman where that's been suppressed for so long. What do you think is like the number one thing that you see is holding women back right now?
Honestly, I think it's fear of our power. I think it's fear that we are that powerful. And as we're talking about this, I'm like, this is a constant dynamic that I have with my current partner. We've been together 10 years. We have a child together. We're not married, but we live together. And domestic life honestly is not for me. And so I know that we're probably gonna need to make some changes, but it's like that conversation. And I think this is also why women come to me because I do have a dominatrix side. Like I've studied with multiple dominatrixes. I've taken the trainings, and it was something that I was going to pursue. And then I realized it was a bit of distraction at this time from my own movement because I was afraid of my own power. I was afraid of stepping into this movement, stepping into this mission because I realize how big it is. But I genuinely feel like it's the fear of our own power and the fear that we can, command. We are like to center ourselves, to center our desires, to center our own potential, our own life force, our own dreams, our own career, all of that when we've been conditioned our whole lives that we're supposed to be like, we're the love interest in a man's story. We're there to do all the unpaid emotional labor, all the things. And it's like your life is not around you being chosen by a man. It's about you choosing. It's about you commanding. Like you are the point of power. It's in you. You are the one. And so I feel like that's really what's coming through. And it's a constant dance for me. It's something I have to constantly check myself in of like,
Mhm.
where am I dropping into like focusing more on my partner or, like whatever. And I feel like I'm entering this era. I'm going to be 36 this year, and I just feel like I have no fucks left to give. And I'm sure I'm getting closer and closer to perimenopause. Who knows? I wouldn't be surprised if women started going into it a lot earlier with the way that things are going.
Yeah,
But I'm just like, you know what? Like, some of the other men in my life, I'm just like so much more direct and blunt. And I'm like, I really don't fucking care what you think. Like, and I also just believe that it ties into like some of the gifts that I have as like a seer and as like a truth teller and just being like, I'm done biting my tongue and holding back the thing I really want to say to you because I see through you, I see you, and like I'm done playing your little pretend game, pretending that you're a good guy, pretending that this is working or whatever it is. And I just feel like in business, it's the same thing like you were saying is where we're kind of just like approaching with like this platter of like, do you want this? Do you want this? And it's like, do you like this? It's like, no. Do you like what you're doing? Do you like who you are? Are you fucking obsessed with it? Are you turned on by it? Does it make your pussy pulse? No, then stop doing it. Like,
exactly.
you are the one that commands it. You have that much power inside of you. And I feel like women are terrified to own that because it has been dangerous for us to own that. Like,
Exactly.
it's been dangerous, but I also feel like part of the provocative movement is to understand that like you are a dangerous woman. You are here to be dangerous to the system, the patriarchal system that wants to keep you a good girl on your knees for the patriarchy. Like we're not here to be good girls submissive on our knees for the fucking patriarchy. Like
Fuck no.
so we have to embrace that we are dangerous and that our power is the key. Like it is something that will set you free, but others free. And it is when you come into your power to that degree, like embodied, personal, sovereign, integrated power, not power over others, but true internal personal power, it's going to change the entire dynamic of the game. But you're going to have to
Absolutely.
continuously, it's like a seduction, it's like a rose. There's always going to be another layer and level. Like I am 12 years into this work with power, and it's like I still catch myself doing things where I'm like, is that what Headmistress Amber would do? Is that what Dominatrix Amber would do? Like, is this who I actually want to be? No, then stop speaking that way. Stop doing that thing. Stop saying yes to that person or entertaining that dynamic, whether it's in relationship or in motherhood or in my business or with money or whoever.
Yeah, so good. I want to touch on something you said, right? Because women are afraid of their own power. And then you brought up that you don't feel how did you say it? Like the domestic life is not for you, which I love because I never wanted to be married or have kids, and now I have two kids and I've been married twice. Um, and I love, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love my children. And also, I think that women understand or are seeing if I go after my full potential, my full power, it's going to rearrange my domestic life. I
Mhm.
won't just be mom. I won't just be wife, and he will have to maybe take on different roles, or our dynamic will be different, or maybe we won't even be together because he won't understand breadwinner energy, right? Um, or what will the fucking PTO moms think down the road when I don't want to be fucking involved and no, I can't bake and yes, our nanny will be picking up the kids and our house manager will bring food if I have to do it. Like that is not the good girl, accepted, everyone likes me community leader. That's a fucking powerful ass woman who's wealthy, who leads her life. But that power dynamic is really scary for women because guess what? That's not what's been normalized. That's not what's been accepted. That's been shamed, shunned, right? There's so many women here who've taken up space, power, made money. She's always called something, right? She's a bitch. She's a cunt. Who does she think she is? She thinks she's better than everyone. She's a man eater. And yes, I am. Yes, yes, yes. Check all the boxes. But that is what keeps women in this place of like playing in the patriarchy, right? Because it's like, oh, nope, don't do that. Don't go outside those lines, right? And that's what I think you and I are doing is like shifting that perspective of like, it's actually okay to do that. It's actually fun to do that. It's safe to do that. But someone has to go first, right? And
Mhm.
that's what you're doing is like showing these women, like, we're going to go first. And if domestic life is not it, or maybe it looks different, so be it, right?
Yeah. we have to be willing to see, and I feel like we talked about this when you were on my podcast, that there's not just option one and option two. There's a whole buffet that you can choose from. And I feel like I'm in that space where it's like, okay, I know that I don't enjoy the dynamic that these things are, but show me something that is, and I'm very clear, it's desire based. Like I'm not just here to have some lesser other option, but
Yes.
even around like looking at the roles that we're playing in our lives, especially if you have children, like I love that you brought up, like the PTO moms and all of that, because it's like my daughter's in Girl Scouts and cookie season just started and they're like asking for volunteers. And my stipulation of her joining was like, I want her to be in this for the leadership, but I don't want to be involved. Like I don't have the bandwidth to do this. And so they're like, yeah, sign up for the booth or whatever. And I'm like, come home and I tell my partner, like, you need to sign up for a booth. I'm not doing it. Like that was my
Yeah.
agreement. And so he signed up for the booth and that's that. And it's like there's so many little ways in which we give our power away in those types of dynamics where we feel like, for me, I feel like there's been a big split between being this powerful woman here leading a movement and being a mother as if they can't coexist.
Yeah.
And I feel like integrating those together and being like, no, one doesn't have to cost the other, like they can
Yeah.
be done together. And it's being willing to do things in a way that no one likely in your lineage or in your life or in your community has done before.
Yeah.
And I just like, for me, it just keeps coming back to like desire and arrows. Like, what do I actually want? And giving myself full fucking permission
Hmm.
to follow that. And there will be fear. People
Yeah.
might shame and judge you. They might call you those labels, selfish, horrible mother, like bad
Yeah.
mother.
Oh my God.
And, for me, and like you said, it's like I have this ability to take whatever, and I have a post brewing about this. Actually, I have two posts brewing about it where it's like I've been called so many things over my life: lazy, hedonistic, brat, spoiled, selfish, bad mother, whore, slut, like all the things, bitch.
Yeah.
And in my world, we just reclaim them for ourselves. It's like no one is going to have power over me by using those words. And so
Exactly.
I feel like if, anyone has a judgment about you or is shaming you or perceiving you in a way that is judgmental, you can give your power over to them and let it alter your decisions. Let it become the force that impacts your decisions and move from that fear, that judgment, that shame.
Yep.
Or you can come back into your power and let desire, let arrows, let your power, let what you actually fucking want and who you want to be and who you are be
Yep.
what you make your decisions from and choose to lead from that energy to move from that energy. And that is always going to be the more fulfilling option in the
Exactly. And Sue, if people are calling you that, I just want you to remember they don't do that to women that comply. They don't do that to women who are playing the game, right? Maybe even sometimes they do. Like maybe even you're not good enough, right? No matter what you do. So you might as well choose what you want. And also too, when it comes to the mother aspect, here's the thing is like the little girls that you're raising are watching you live your life. And I have had to check this so many times of like, what did I watch my mom do? And what are my girls watching me do that's the same? Or what is it that they're watching that I want them to see is different, right? Because if we're truly birthing women as leaders, like they're going to be that. They're up next. And we really want them to see that this is the dynamic. This is the power shift. And you get to do this. You get to choose this. This is what's now going to become normalized for my daughters because they're not going to know any different. Like the only thing that they're going to see and know is breadwinner energy, is women in power, women with money, women standing up for themselves and openly speaking and running movements, right? And changing the world. And so you get to decide is like, do I want to show my daughters that I played it safe, that I decided that I can't have that or, take up space? Or do you want to forge the way so that that's normalized, right, for them? So I love that you brought that up. I have a couple more things for you, and we're gonna have to wrap up because I'm like, time is like flying, and there's so much good stuff here. So, I want you to tell the people, to the women listening who are totally playing it safe. They are like not even performative. It's just like in their shell, safe. They're just doing like the steps of business. They're just like, I'm supposed to post, I'm doing that. I'm supposed to have an offer, I'm doing that. I want you to tell them where should they start today to start really unleashing their edge.
Hmm. So I even as you're asking me this question, I'm like, do I go the bold route or do I go the safe route? And it's
No.
like, well, the bold route is honestly like what I give to my clients, which is like we go into erotic practice and it doesn't just have to mean self-pleasure, but it's really prioritizing like the edge, like the deepest energy, the most ashamed energy, and the most powerful
Mhm.
energy is the erotic, is sexual energy, erotic energy, whatever you want to call it. And, that's the work we do in my world is like, that's what we resource everything from. It's not just like, oh, like sit in meditation or pull cards. Like, yes, we love that
Yeah.
stuff. But if I'm being honest, the work that we do is like, we're going deep down into the practice. And obviously, I've like refined my practice at this point where it's like, my erotic practice is my power practice, is my leadership practice, is my like boundaries practice, is my business practice. Like it's all connected, because when we're navigating the way that our bodies respond when we're engaging in pleasure, in sensuality, and moving erotic energy through our bodies, that's going to show like it's going to mimic the same way that you feel when you go to post. Like if you're not willing to say the thing in the bedroom of like, okay, your lover or partner is like clearly rubbing your left labia instead of your clitoris, and you're just letting them do that. Like if you're not willing to speak up there, you're not going to speak up when that demanding client is in your DM pissed that you're raising your rates and then you
Yeah.
just appease and give them what they want. Like if you're not willing to meet the edges at the most raw, deep place, which is the erotic, then to me, you're not going to be able to step fully into your power. And, for me at this point, like, I'm like, I won't take clients, I won't hire mentors who aren't willing to embrace or like, it doesn't mean they have to do the
Yeah.
same work as me or like talk about sex publicly. But it's like, if you think that like sex is dirty and should be over there, then I like can't take you as a client. I can't have you as a mentor. Like because you don't understand me and you're also shunning the most powerful, magnetic, seductive, influential force that I believe is going to rebirth this world, which is the erotic. Like it is what all of these fucked up shadows come from. And
Yeah.
so many women are carrying trauma and shame that is sexual in nature, but is popping up. I used to call it like the whack-a-mole, where you would try to whack, like you try to whack the mole down. Like, no, sexuality is important. Sex isn't important. Pops up
Yeah.
in business, pops up in money, pops up in your relations. Like you cannot deny and suppress the literal force that creates human life. It is impossible. You can't.
Yes.
So if you do, it gets driven underground, it twists and contorts, it gets even more fucked up, and then your life is a mess. You're not happy, you're not fulfilled, and your shadows are essentially running the show. Your shame is running the show, your trauma is running the show. And so I mean, if I can be a little self-promotional here, like the best place if you're a leader wanting to start doing this like edgier erotic work is I have an audio course called Lead from Your Erotic Edge, and that's where you can
Mm.
start accessing that work because we like in my world at this level, it's like I'm kind of moved beyond the basic of like teaching women how to self-pleasure, how to use the word pussy. Like, yes, that stuff is important, but women aren't really going to come to me for that anymore unless they're in my deepest containers.
Yeah.
We've refined it down to like this is your leadership practice. This is your power practice. This is like your content making practice. Like, if you want to be influential, if you want to be wealthy, if you want to be powerful, you're going to come in and like work directly with the erotic. Like, you're going to do these rituals, these practices, because it's going to take you into and connect you to and help you move that energy through you and then move from it like the strongest energy that can be destructive both consciously and unconsciously. We don't need it unconsciously anymore. We need it very consciously, disrupt the systems, destroy what needs to be destroyed, but is also rebirthing, reshaping in nature.
Yeah, this is so good. We're going to have Amber's course that she just mentioned listed below, so you guys can go ahead and grab that. And we'll have her links, we'll have all of her things to find her, to follow her, to join in on this. But before we wrap up, I want to land and then like leave off with this thing is like if women are experiencing deep shame, right? But they need to walk to the shame to understand why it's there, where it comes from, and how to move from it. But they're stuck in this place is like, how and where, like, how do you know it's shame and not just fear and not just conditioning? Like, where, yeah, like, can you kind of touch in on like where to go there?
Yeah, I can speak to how it comes through me. I
Yeah.
typically feel shame like in my gut, in my belly, and it kind of has this like icky quality that makes you like contract and not like the sexy dissension I was talking about earlier. It's like a ew, I need to like disappear. It's creates this like invisibility cloak. It feels icky, it feels dense, it feels heavy, it feels murky. For a lot of my clients, it is in the belly and the gut because that's where the root and sacral chakra is. And typically that's where we like money, sensuality, safety, survival, like eroticism is all in the lower body. And so you're typically, the shame is gonna like, you can feel it here in your cheeks, but it's gonna have this impact on your body that is like cave forward and in, become really small. It can feel really depressive and icky. Whereas for me, fear is kind of just like heart palpitating, sweaty palms, like, which is also very valid. And like if you're experiencing shame and fear together, it is a destabilizing mix
Yeah.
because if you're listening to this, you are here to be revolutionary, and the shame is deliberate. The fear is deliberate. You've been trained your entire life to be shamed, to be compliant, to be silent. And, I feel like in doing this work, you become disobedient, defiant, but you also become the powerful leader of your wildest, wettest dreams. And so if you're experiencing the shame, in your body, the deepest, most provocative work that I do with my clients is like we see shame in layers. So sometimes it's an inner child aspect, and it's like we're not going to go into the erotic work with that aspect of ourselves. We're going to go into like, okay, I mother myself, I love myself. What does my inner child need? Typically, that will begin to evolve naturally. You'll feel it in your body. And so I'll guide my clients through like if there's an inner child aspect, we start with the holding, with the loving, like what does she need? Um, and then it starts to evolve into this like deeper, darker. You can eroticize the shame, you can get off on the shame, and it's because the shame creates sensations in your body. The lump in your throat, the knot in your belly, that like feeling of like, ugh. You can perceive it as pain or as pleasure, good, bad, right, or wrong.
Yeah.
And in my world, we learn to take away all those stories and to experience it as pure raw sensation. And when something is pure raw sensation, you can choose to perceive it as pleasure, to even get a little kinky with it, to then feel it as sensation and start to breathe that energy through it, start to move your body. So we always come back to breath, touch, sound, and movement. And that can be new for women who aren't used to like operating from their bodies or, using their voice in that way. And it's not about the performative of like the porn sounds. Like if that comes from you naturally, great. But it can also be like the hissing, the spitting, the growling, the like deep guttural fucking like, I just need to get this out. And from there, it can even evolve more once you've really moved with and transmuted the shame, which is dense and heavy in nature. It's like lead is it will begin to get lighter and lighter and lighter until you'll have this sense of like liberation and freedom, this levity, this lightness, this like bubbly, sparkly, effervescent joy that starts to come through. A lot of my clients will get kind of like they'll be like, it feels like I'm high, but I'm still grounded. Like
Yeah.
I'm giggly and like I feel alive and I feel turned on and like free, because you've successfully alchemized and transmuted the shame through your body. And your body has so much intelligence. Your nervous system is always going to protect you. And, like something I always say is like your body is always going to reveal the pattern and the pathway. So your body is going to show you through your sensations. Where are you contracting? Where are you holding your breath? Where are you clenching? Where are you like, what are you feeling in your body? And that is going to show you where the erotic energy, the creativity, the power, like which is the source of your money and your leadership,
Yeah.
that is going to show you where it's being locked away, where it's being held back. And by that time, your body has decided we feel safe enough to let the pathway reveal itself. It will be uncomfortable, right? Like it doesn't mean it won't be uncomfortable or you could perceive it as painful, but it just means that you're ready and you can do this and your body is like going to guide you through it if you surrender away from your mind
Yeah.
and you kind of let the shame, instead of seeing the shame as like, ew, bad, I shouldn't be feeling this, I need to get raw, like get rid of it, it's
Yeah.
wrong. See it as like, oh, it's seducing you, it's a friend, it's a lover, like it's something, it is a part of you,
Hmm.
and it's your body's intelligence that is guiding you through the process to
Yeah.
take that shame and create power and freedom and essentially Eros aliveness from it, which is then creativity and, the drill.
I love it. I love this. If you're listening, like she said, I had chills listening to this because if you're here, you are a revolutionary woman, and by design, the system has put on you shame, right? It's put on you things to hold you down, to hold you back, to keep you away from your intuition, from your inner knowing, from your power, from pleasure, from all the things that would create this life. It has taken from you. And your job is to get back into your body. So this work is somatic work, right? It is body work. It is not mind work. And so if you're listening and you're really experiencing these things, I would highly suggest following Amber, going to download her course and diving into this work because this will be the place where you really get back into your body and you start to we we call it in my mastermind like fuck your fears, like not
Mhm.
like fuck off, but like
Yep.
literally fuck them.
Literally fuck them, yeah. I love
Literally.
that as well. Getting kinky with them, fucking them, getting off on them. Like, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
we're so aligned with that.
Yes, and so that is the work, right? So Amber, can you tell us where can the people find you? Where should they go? The podcast, the socials, all the places, and then we'll list them below.
Yeah, you can find me. My main platform is Instagram at the Amber Renee. You can also find me on Threads, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, those places, but less so. My podcast is Eros Money Power. You can also find me on my website, my blog, missamberrenee.com, and that's where all of the yeah, I recommend just starting with the podcast and Lead from Your Erotic Edge course. And I find that, women naturally start to kind of move through in the world and find what works for them. And I have other courses and experiences that I still offer. But yeah, I also have a mastermind open right now myself called The Sanctum. So if you're a woman who is resonating in all with my energy, start with Lead from Your Erotic Edge and see where that takes you. See where it seduces you.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being here today. As always, we will have everything listed below. Go check her out. Go do the course, follow her, listen to her podcast. Thank you again for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Tay. I'm so honored.
You are so welcome. And for everyone listening, we will see you on the next episode.